Good evening. It's 7 o'clock, and I'd like to get started with the Urbana City Council meeting. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Barnes?
Here.
Mr. Bowersox?
Here.
Ms. Shanaway?
Present.
Mr. Lewis?
Here.
Mr. Roberts?
Here.
Mr. Smythe?
Here by telephone.
Ms. Stevenson?
Present.
Mayor Pressing?
Here. The first item is approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, which is February 4th.
So moved.
I second the motion.
Motion by Heather Stevenson, seconded by Dennis Roberts. Is there any additions or corrections to the minutes? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Additions to the agenda? Don't see any. Petitions and communications. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the Urbana City Council? Doesn't look like there is. Are there any council members that would like to chime in? I would say Dennis Roberts.
Yes. Well, as you know, we've had the first kickoff event for the birthday celebration of Urbana's 175th birthday. We had a really nice crowd at Lincoln Square Mall, and we had a great cake that was enjoyed by everybody there. It turned out that we had exactly enough pieces of cake for the crowd. I don't think there was about a half a piece left. Really, it wasn't left because nothing was left behind. So it just worked out very well. Thank you, Schnucks Bakery. And we also had plenty of music. We had some improv skits. The high school choir came to sing. The Sousa archival instruments were played by a brass band performers from the university, and we had the Bodacious String Orchestra or band perform. These are like young student violinists and cellists, and they did a great job. The high school choir came and sang Happy Birthday to Urbana, as well as a medley of songs. We had a look-alike Lincoln walking around in the background, and the Oberon and the Possum King played in the latter part of the program, and it was just really a lot of fun. We're going to have an event in March at the university because March is the date in history when the month in history when the university was founded, and we'll have more information about that coming up. Also, one of the special things that happened at the birthday event was that we have a calendar that honors the history of Urbana. Yeah, hold that up. And this calendar is going to be on sale at various locations, including the City Hall and some of the galleries down on Main Street. And whom else is going to be? The library, the public library, the Urbana Public Library is going to have these for sale. They are filled with fascinating facts and photographs of the history of Urbana. Some of the photographs in here have never been published before. For example, there is a photograph on the month of May, if I can get to the month of May, which shows it's a month devoted to the Park District, and it's eluding me for a moment here. And there's a photograph here of the first original landscape and planting plan for Victory Park, which even I don't believe the Park Division has ever seen. So research has brought forth wonderful highlights. We have a whole month celebrating the Black history of Urbana, and we have 1 month celebrating notable women in the history of the city. Also, the fire department and the police department, local businesses that started at the turn of the century. There's a month devoted to the early churches of Urbana, and this is the month with there's many photographs here of women who were notable in the history of Urbana, who were prominent women, including the first woman physician that practiced in Urbana, and some of these photographs have never been seen before. So these are available and for $12. If you get one that has been signed by Mayor Pressing, the donation is higher. It's $20. And I encourage you to get that one because any of the monies that come from the sale of this calendar go to benefit the arts programs in Urbana and to pay for the birthday celebration events we're planning in the future. So it's a great investment and an opportunity to support the city and its good causes. So I encourage you to find one and get several for your friends. Thank you.
And of course, I'd like to thank Dennis again and Ilona Matkovsky for all the work that they did on this, and we were really helped by the city staff, community development, Tom Carino and Libby Tyler. Couldn't have done it without them. We had great cooperation from a lot of people, including Lincoln Square. So, it was a good event. Next, I don't believe we have any old business. Let's go to reports of standing committees. Since Charlie is home sick, I think Brandon Bowersox is going to carry that. Committee of the Whole?
Yeah, the Committee of the Whole met last Monday, the 11th, and there are 3 items to report back. The first is Resolution 2008-02-002R, and that's a resolution authorizing the City of Urbana to participate in the development of a multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan. For the committee, I move approval.
Aye.
Okay, motion by Bowersox, seconded by Lewis. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Bowersox.
Next, we have Resolution 2008-02-003R. This is a resolution concerning the geographical limitations of annexation agreements. For the committee, I move approval.
I second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Bowersox, seconded by Mr. Roberts. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Bowersox.
Last, we have an ordinance. This is 2008-02-009, an ordinance approving an amendment to an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Champaign and an amendment to an intergovernmental agreement with the University of Illinois and the City of Champaign about fire protection, mutual assistance, and fire protection services. For the committee, I move approval.
Was that Heather?
Heather.
Okay. Mr. Bowersox made the motion. It was seconded by Ms. Stevenson. Any discussion? If not, yes, Mr.
I
Smythe.
need to recuse myself on this vote.
All right, Mr. Smythe, you are recused. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Bowersox?
Yes.
Ms. Shenoweth?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson?
Okay, the motion carries. Mr. Smythe, you may get back in the fray here. I don't believe we have any reports of special committees, reports of officers. This is going to be a really short meeting. Okay, on to new business. Ordinance number 2008-02-020, an ordinance approving the special use permit to allow installation of 9 panel antennas on an existing telecommunications tower in R5 medium-high density, multiple family residential zoning district. Okay, we have Robert Myers, our planner, here to describe what this is.
Well, I thought I would formally introduce to you Lisa Karcher. You may have met Lisa, but I don't know if she's had a formal introduction here. Planner 2 in the planning division, and Lisa's a recent addition, and most recently, she has over 12 years' experience working in planning at municipal, county, and regional levels in Ohio, and came from a community almost the exact same size, but has a lot of great experience, and she's been great. So I wanted to introduce you to her.
To just give you a little bit of background on the item, which is the special use permit by T-Mobile, that in February of 2007, T-Mobile applied for a special use permit for an equipment enclosure which would serve the co-location of an antenna on an existing tower at 110 West Main Street. Council subsequently approved that. Since that time, the university on property immediately east to 110 West Main, which is the WILL facility, they tore down an apartment building and constructed another tower. The second tower is taller, and they needed this taller tower because there's an interference with the first tower signal to the transmitter in Monticello because of the Burnham building that they're building on Springfield Street in Champaign. The subject property, I guess to back up, T-Mobile was asked then to put their antenna on the new tower, and essentially that property is zoned R5 multifamily residential, so that requires a special use permit, hence why they're here again. As with the R5, the subject site and surrounding properties, there's some inconsistency in zoning and land use, and that's really a product of the university in the sense that it's a mixed uses, and then the fact over time it's redeveloped so that even though the underlying zoning may not have changed, the development, what's there, has changed, so that there are inconsistencies. We've recognized that at a staff level, and we're working towards putting together a university zoning district that will better address multiple uses on campus. And our goal is to have that in place by the end of this year, but because there's a lag in time, we are requesting review of this special use permit right now at this time. When we review special permits, we do look at 3 different criteria that the permit should demonstrate, or the application should demonstrate. It should be conducive to public convenience. It should be designed and located so it's not detrimental to the public as well as the site where it's at. And in addition, it should conform to the regulations and preserve the character of the district. The specific application to co-locate the antennas really does demonstrate this because, one, they are co-locating on an existing tower. In addition, the wireless communication facility that's being provided will provide a service to students and the university, as well as provide emergency communications. In addition, it does conform, the location conforms to our zoning, and that it is consistent with the adjacent use, and then with the rezoning with the university district, it would be compatible by the time we get to putting the university district in place. As council, you have the ability to approve as submitted, approve with conditions, or deny the special use permit. On February 7th, the Plan Commission reviewed the special use permit and did make a recommendation to council to approve the permit as submitted.
Okay, are there any questions? Dennis Roberts.
It sounds like a reasonable use of the existing tower to add the 9 relocated elements to it. I mean, that makes sense. I have just 2 questions. One, will the shorter tower eventually be removed now that it's no longer serving its original purpose?
I can't answer that question, to be honest with you.
We don't know.
I don't know.
Okay. You don't think so? Okay.
Libby Tyler.
As far as we know, that the second tower will remain. It's being used as well by the TV and radio station.
Okay. And then I guess my other question is the area, does the city require that it's a fenced area, does the city require that it be landscaped around it to mitigate the appearance of it? Is there any kind of condition about that? This has nothing to do with the tower itself, but I mean, it's the location.
If the tower had been permitted by the city, ordinarily there are screening requirements.
Mm-hmm.
And again, as Lisa explained, because this is on university property, that is something that we were not able to do and hope to be able to do in the future under a university district.
Okay.
And these were hardship conditions in that WILL relies on an on-site tower with good reception for their television and radio programming. It's very important to the community. When the Burnham project started construction, that access was lost. So it was a bit of an emergency situation on the part of the university.
Well, I like the idea of working with the university on some of the zoning questions that are just been brought up. And thank you very much for your answers.
I would like to correct the number. It's supposed to be ordinance number 2008-02-010. Are there any other questions? If not, would the clerk please call the roll?
You do?
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Okay, well, we do need a motion, yes.
I'd like to second that motion then.
Okay, motion by Ms. Barnes and seconded by Mr. Roberts. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Bowersox?
Yes.
Ms. Shenoweth?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Smythe?
Yes.
Ms. Stevenson?
Yes.
The motion carries. Next is Resolution Number 2008-02-004R, a resolution of protest against a proposed text amendment to the Champaign County zoning ordinance. This has been requested by the Champaign County zoning administrator, and Robert Myers will explain it.
Right, thank you. Champaign County is proposing to amend their zoning ordinance specifically in two ways. They're not related, but they're both doing them at the same time. One would to add a standard condition to special use permits, that projects that get special use permits through the county, that they have lighting that's full cutoff lighting, that doesn't spill over on the neighbors and minimizes glare. Currently, they don't have standards they don't have standard conditions for lighting, but they have been, I understand, by practice, adding that as a typical condition for quite some time now, so they're just regularizing it, they're adding it to their zoning ordinance, they're making it standard. The other revision of the county zoning ordinance that's being proposed is to add township highway maintenance garage to the table of uses. Currently, highway maintenance garages aren't listed in the table of uses. There's some similar things like contractor shop or government facility, but it's not quite exactly the same. They'd like to add that to the table of uses. And they would like to allow it by right under certain circumstances, and then other circumstances they'd make it a special use permit. But essentially in agricultural zoning districts, if it's not near any residences, they'd like to allow it by right, because these garages belong out in the rural county areas. They're among all the different townships, and many townships are zoned totally or almost all agricultural. In fact, according to my calculation, I think 99.7% or roughly that of unincorporated Champaign County is zoned agricultural. So almost by definition, they have to be located in agricultural areas. So these are proposed changes to the county zoning ordinance. How the city gets involved is that under state law, the city has an obligation to review changes to the county zoning ordinance, and we can, if we choose to, we can adopt a resolution of protest if we feel like it would be harmful to the city's interests. In this case, the Plan Commission reviewed both of these, and city staff has reviewed these, and we feel like that we recommend that the City Council defeat a resolution of protest for these proposed changes. So what that would mean is that the resolution that's in your packet, we're asking you to defeat it, to not approve that resolution.
Okay, is there a motion?
Okay. I guess I make a motion to defeat resolution number 2008-02-004R, a resolution of protest against the proposed tax amendment.
Second.
Okay, that motion is made by Mr. Roberts and seconded by Mr. Smythe.
If I could speak to the motion, please.
Yes, Mr. Smythe.
Yes, I'm all in favor of encouraging the use of full cutoff lighting wherever we can. So I think defeating the attached resolution of protest is exactly what we want to do.
You better make them LEDs.
Charlie, it doesn't mention LEDs.
I know, but full cutoff lighting is a great start.
Okay. Ms. Chenoweth.
Just to clarify, if, given the way the motion is worded, if we want to go with the staff recommendation, we'll actually vote yes to defeat the resolution of protest. Just want to be clear, because there's a double negative in there.
I know.
Okay.
Is there a reason why we don't say we support? It's a legal
I mean,
thing.
do you usually have a resolution or a motion to support it and then defeat it, or do you have a resolution to defeat it?
Well, however
Look to our
however it's
attorney
done,
here.
I do know that you need to have the opportunity to pass it if you wanted to. I mean, we
Well, we
can
did.
recommend against it.
Okay.
But you all need to have the opportunity to pass it if that's what you want to do, so.
Okay, so
we
if
put
you
it on
want
the
to pass
agenda,
it-
we write it so that you can pass it if you want to, or you can defeat it if you want to.
Okay, so anybody who votes no will be voting to pass it, and if a majority votes no, then it'll be passed. However, the way it's worded, we're voting to defeat it. Is there any other comment on this? If not, all those in favor of the motion to defeat the resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries to defeat the resolution. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.